Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Growth by Shawn podcast. Thank you for joining me today. You have manifested this episode into your life. You have attracted myself into your life, and I truly appreciate you giving me your time and attention, as those are two of our most valuable assets in this life. So, what I'm going to talk to us about today is how to heal your metabolism, how to increase your metabolism. So many of us have these thoughts that 10 years ago, it was so much easier to lose weight. It was so much easier to eat whatever I wanted, and I just looked a certain way. And is my metabolism slowing down? Is it working against me? Are my hormones messed up? All of these different excuses, all of these different beliefs that we have, and I am here to set the record straight for us. So, wherever you are at in your fitness journey, in your life, I want to share with you that your metabolism is not broken. Your hormones are not out of whack. Now, if you're going to get blood work done, again, even if you're going to just get blood work done and your testosterone is dropping, your progesterone is dropping, your estrogen is high, all of these different aspects that can come out of blood work, when you just do this once, that is one number. That's it. You have one measurement of data. And so what tends to happen for a lot of us is I could go and I could have a really, really poor night's sleep last night. I could eat all the ice cream that I wanted yesterday. I could wake up tomorrow, have blood work done, and all of a sudden my testosterone is down 400 points. Now, sure, it's an extreme example, but when you look at all of those factors, if I really honed in and took care of myself today and I ate right, I took some stress management practices, I got a great night's sleep, all of a sudden that testosterone could boost way up again, all right? So don't just take these single numbers as the end all be all. So what a lot of us tend to focus on, especially in terms of your metabolism and it's slowing down, what we do is we think, okay, you know what, I'm gonna diet really hard and I'm gonna lose as much fat as quickly as possible in order for my testosterone to ramp back up. And I urge you guys to have this very simple perspective switch, because if you can take anything away from this episode, this one perspective could change everything for you. And that's, instead of looking at losing weight, focusing on building muscle. Have you ever looked at someone and they can just eat whatever they want and they're absolutely jacked in all of these different aspects? Now, of course, genetics play a role, but at the same time, they've worked very hard to have the physique that they want. The more muscle that you have, the more your body is this fuel burning machine. And so the more muscle mass that you have, you're able to increase calories a lot more while also burning fat at a higher rate. Someone that's very sedentary, someone that has a high amount of fat mass, it's more difficult for you to lose weight when you have a higher fat mass as opposed to someone that has increased muscle mass. This is like your body. Imagine your body as a credit card, and the fat mass is you getting in debt. And it's hard to get out of debt at times because all of that interest is building up. Versus someone with a really nice physique and they have a lot of muscle mass, they have that clean slate. And so when they go and spend a couple of dollars, they're able to pay it off really quickly. All right. So the first thing that happens is focus on building muscle as opposed to just losing weight. We also tend to cut calories very quickly because we all want things to happen very fast. And so by doing this, that is in turn slowing your metabolism down as well. What's actually happening with your metabolism is as you cut calories and the less that you eat, the slower your metabolism becomes. That's why, especially once you're around like that 10% body fat range, it's much harder to get down to that 5% body fat range. as opposed to take someone that's 30%. It's actually a lot easier to go from 30% to 25% because you have a lot of food that you can still eat, and that 5% can come off very, very quickly. And so I want you guys to look at this long-term approach to things, and don't necessarily look at weight loss as how can I lose so much weight in X amount of time, but focus on how can I build so much muscle and make this very sustainable, because muscle is very difficult to build. You just need to add stress to the body. All right, it's through resistance training, through all of these hardships. Okay, that's how we build that resilience. That's how we build muscle in the gym. And so instead of you going and just slashing your calories, what I would urge you to do is take 2 weeks time and just start to track your calories. That way you have some measurements that can start to be managed. When you can manage what is measured, the process becomes a lot easier. So if you're someone where your maintenance calories just means I need to eat this much amount of food in order to maintain my body weight. Okay, it's like your body being at homeostasis. And so if it takes you 2,000 calories a day to remain there, even if you just cut them by 100 a day, that's cutting them by 700 every single week. And that's a great rate of progress to go and lose body fat, not necessarily muscle mass. But if you go from 2,000 to 1,500 immediately, what's happening is you're depriving yourself a lot of food and energy, because food is just energy, right? Anyone that's done any type of fast understands how difficult it can be because you don't have any energy that's coming in. You're only using the energy that you have, the energy that you have stored. And so what happens to a lot of us is we cut calories very, very drastically. And from there, it becomes unsustainable. And that's when you cut calories and you're dropping body fat, that's when you're actually decreasing your metabolism. Your metabolism starts slowing down as you are eating less food. And so the process is, how can I eat as much as I can while still losing weight? A great metric to try to follow as well is about 1% of your body weight each week. That's a great indicator that you're dropping primarily body fat and not just muscle mass. Because again, we want to focus on keeping this muscle mass as high as possible in order for our body to be this fat burning machine. And so there's still these beliefs that, oh, well, lifting weights will make me bulky. But there's not one person that's really gone to the gym. Name someone that started going to the gym, started lifting weights, and they've actually felt bulky. Now, sure, you can look at some 18-year-old kid that starts to go to the gym and take steroids and they look all puffy, right? But that's not what's happening for the majority of people. Most people that go to the gym, all of a sudden they have more energy, they have less body fat, they're happier, all right? They feel better about themselves, they're more confident, and there's never a complaint about being bulky. Bulky is when you have a surplus of calories and all of a sudden you're holding a lot of water because you increase the calories so much, and you're eating whatever you want, that sure, you have some muscle mass, but you don't even have any definition because you've increased the calories so much. Bulkiness comes from an overabundance of calories, not from the training. And so focus on keeping calories as high as possible while also being in a calorie deficit and losing weight. Now, most people keep over dieting and overdoing it on cardio. Over dieting, again, is that drastic slash of calories that you keep going, and then you do 1,200, 1,500, 1,200, 1,500. Maybe it's sustainable for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden that binge comes because you've deprived yourself on eating a piece of chocolate so much that as soon as it hits your tongue and it hits your taste buds, and now you have this huge dopamine hit that you can't get enough, and you're afraid that you'll never be able to have it again. You can eat dessert every single day. Now, sure, there will be some other sacrifices that you may need to make throughout the day in order to eat dessert every day, but you can eat dessert every single day and still lose weight. All right? So overdoing cardio is a huge factor to this as well, because cardio is, again, you're expending a lot of energy, and this what makes you even hungrier. The more that you're just doing a high intensity cardio and you're continuing to tax this nervous system, you're making it so that you are just hungrier throughout the day. And the hungrier that you are, the psychological benefits are not there. And so even when I start a client on a program, oftentimes we're not doing a lot of cardio. We're just tracking your movement. Because if you can just start to move a little bit more, even if you kept your calories the same and you just started to move a little bit more throughout the day, whether it's you're doing dishes more, or you're taking a little walk at lunch or before work or after work, that's something that's not going to stress your body, expend a little bit of energy without overdoing it. So the last thing that I want to touch on in terms of how to help your metabolism, aside from the calories, aside from the movement, aside from building muscle, is actually stress. Stress and your nervous system is one of the biggest indicators of how much progress you're really going to be able to make. Think about the last time that you made a decision and you were really, really stressed about it. Or imagine being really, really stressed. You had a perfect day in terms of what you ate. You ate a bunch of meat and fruits and vegetables, and all of a sudden the next day you still woke up 3 pounds heavier. Why is that? Well, it could have been a poor night's sleep. It could have just been inflammation from stress. And so getting out of that toxic relationship, finding ways to de-stress at work, money stress, stress about your body. These are all of these different psychological and physical stresses that make it so that our body holds on to more water, holds on to more cortisol. It stays inflamed because we're so stressed. And I want to give you some grace right now, because think about everything in your life, and you've always had enough. You've always had to pay rent. You've always had bills to pay. You've always been in a stressful workplace, yet you always find a way to have enough every single time. Especially if you're listening to this podcast, you most likely have a roof over your head. You're listening to on your iPhone, your computer, or whatever. You're listening on YouTube, and you've always had enough. You always want more. You're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills this month, and all these things, and all these different factors of life, and all these circumstances keep happening to me. Yet every single time, the universe creates a way that you have enough. You've always been enough, and you've always been okay. And so finding those stress management techniques are going to be one of the biggest factors to actually having more clear decision-making abilities and making it so that you're not as stressed, okay? And so this is that affirmation, that reminder that whatever you're going through right now, you've always had enough and you've always been enough, okay? And that can just be that little grace and perspective that you needed today in order to just keep going. And so, guys, I hope that this episode finds you well, and along with these stress management techniques, I want to urge you to go and find those techniques that are going to work for you. Having some type of gratitude practice for being grateful for where you are and all of the things in your life and all of the people in your life. Or maybe it's a small journaling exercise, just writing some things down. When you go and talk to a friend, when you're going through it, right? It's not that your friend has all of the answers, but for some reason you always feel better after talking about it, after getting it outside, from bottling it all up. Now you've said it, and all of a sudden you feel better even though you don't have any more answers. This clarity comes from just getting it out of your head and out into the world, okay? And there's a difference between just letting people know about your circumstances and bitching and complaining about every little mundane thing that keeps happening. And so go and start to just journal a small amount, even if it's for 2 minutes a day before bed when you wake up. It doesn't need to be this crazy journaling practice where you need to sit in lotus position and write about all of your deepest, darkest secrets, but Just like talking to that friend and expressing it, you feel better. You will feel better once words get onto that paper, right? Because it's out of your head, it's out of your tissue, it's out of your nervous system. And so a gratitude practice, journaling, a small breathing exercise, going and spending time outdoors, all of these different things can really help you start to de-stress. Okay, so that is your homework for today. That is your goal for today, is to focus on building muscle. Stop focusing on just losing weight. Focusing on actually de-stressing, because the less you can stress and more just relax. Relax, because you've always been enough and you've always had enough. And the more that you can do that, the more clear and creative decisions that you will be able to make in the future. And so guys, thank you for listening to this episode, and I hope that this is finding you at the exact time that you need to hear this. If you are on YouTube, feel free